in this lesson, we even have, we show you the chromosomes, how the woman has the station of civilization began. Because there they perfect the science of mathematics scaling from 0 to 9, the zodiac, and geometry. And that was our science. That's why when you look on the back of the dollar bill, you see there's 2 seals here. This is the only nation with a 2-sided seal. This seal you see here with the pyramid is the seal of our ancestors and our federal government that we had set up in here in this hemisphere going way back. This is the seal of the 6 European tribes that we allowed to set up here. That is why above our seal says Andy would correct us. He had favored our undertaking. I mean, it was our federal government here that was already established, what they call Iroquois Confederacy, so on and so forth. It was already established that taught them as the science of government and allowed them to set up here. And here you see this flag has 6 white stripes and 7 red. And the elders taught us that those 6 white stripes stand for the British, the Irish, the Scottish, the French, the Dutch, and the German. The 6 European tribes that we allowed to set up here. And all they had initially was the eastern seaboard. The rest was ours. The elders also taught us some things. Now, I know this is going to sound crazy, but do the research and you're going to be surprised at what you find. The elders told us that the original Nile was here. Old man Mississippi. The Missouri being the blue and the Ohio being the white. Until this day, where them 2 come together, there's a city there called Cairo to this day. And that area is called Little Egypt. Then you go down into what the elders taught us was Alabama, so on and so forth, being Lower Egypt. Then you get into Memphis, Tennessee, the Memphite theology. Kentucky, King Tut. And then you start to look a little further, and then you find out that there was an archaeological cover-up involving the Smithsonian Institute.
Let's talk about that for a moment. It came out in 1909. What was that?
You know that it was a front page newspaper story in the 1909 Phoenix Gazette. Phoenix was a young city then. And what they reported was really astonishing. I mean, they reported that the Smithsonian Institution was doing excavations in the Grand Canyon. They said that it was being supervised by an archaeologist named Jordan. It all had to do with another explorer named Kincaid, who had been traveling down the Grand Canyon. And what he claimed he discovered was these caverns inside the Grand Canyon. Inside these caverns were, he thought, and then the Egyptian, the Smithsonian, then later confirmed, according to the newspaper report, that there were Egyptian artifacts, there were Hindu, Buddhist artifacts from India. They were saying that, you know, there were mummies in there. They were saying this was going to totally change the history of America and the Southwest. Egyptians and Hindus and Buddhists were coming across the Pacific and the Atlantic, coming to North America. They were involved in the civilizations here, and that apparently they had a special vault in the Grand Canyon where they buried some of the leaders, the people they had left behind with artifacts and things like that, and that the Smithsonian Institution got involved. They were hauling all this stuff out of these caves, including these mummies, swords, shields, statues. Jeez. Right, and then this the Jordan, the archaeologist, who was going back to Washington, D.C., back to the Smithsonian, and I mean, this is these exciting new discoveries in the Grand Canyon. There was one follow-up story, and then no one really ever heard of it again. And it's really a lot like the first Indiana Jones movie, where Indiana Jones has discovered the lost Ark of the Covenant, and then right at the end of the movie, he says, well, you know, where's the Ark? And they tell him, oh, well, don't worry, you know, top men are working on it. And then the last scene in the movie is this giant warehouse, apparently at the Smithsonian, and the Ark of the Covenant is in this crate, and it's being put in this giant warehouse, and no one's ever going to see it again.
Just put away, yeah.
And that's kind of what appears to have happened with these artifacts in the Grand Canyon. So
Well, first of all, do you think the article was real? It wasn't a joke, wasn't a hoax, right?
Well, you know, back in those days, there were a lot of hoax newspaper articles. And, you know, as a researcher, I'm constantly looking for and digging up old newspaper articles and stories about giants, unusual archaeological finds, weird things like that. And when you look at this one, especially because of the detail, it's naming people, later I was able to verify some of it, and I would say yes. I mean, this does seem to be a true story, and the more and more I've looked into it over the years, I first wrote about it in my book, Lost Cities of North and Central America, that came out in 1994. And in those years, I've had a number of letters. People have called me occasionally, trying to give me, you know, different leads and things like that. And in the end, what I've concluded is that, yes, there really is something to this.
Your ancient future is now. Welcome to Khem West.